Thank you for letting me speak to you again this morning. So happy to be here and to have some words for you. This morning's message is called the mailbox surprise. The mailbox surprise. So the other day when I went to check the mail, I found a dinosaur in my mailbox. It was actually a thank you card. It was handwritten. It had a real return address on it. It smelled like lavender and baked bread. And I opened it, and inside was a handwritten card. It was graceful and gracious and thanked me for being with a family at Legacy Salmon Creek during their time of struggle. And it wasn't commercially made. It didn't come from the Hallmark Company. It was crafted and written in the loveliest of scripts. And it was a beautiful thing to see. It's kind of a relic from the past. These days when we seem to be relegated to emails and texts, tweets, Twitters, even sometimes not even letters at all, but simply little marks sent in reply to a message, a little hand waving or a check. We don't even begin to think about any more about writing. There was a return address on the envelope, and the return address was so exciting for me because the return address symbolized that the people wanted the conversation to continue. And indeed, it will, and it did. So what does this have to do with this morning's gospel? This morning's gospel is a powerful one. We have several characters to unwrap this morning, and the first is the 10 lepers. The 10 lepers. And so the leper in the first century Jewish culture was at the bottom, the absolute bottom of the social hierarchy. You couldn't get any lower than a leper. Lepers were considered to be not only physically unclean, but ritually unclean. According to the theological traditions of the day, it was thought that when bad things happened to you, either you did something bad to upset God or your ancestors did something bad to upset God. And so that's why you were ill, or that's why you were poor, or that's why you were lame. So lepers, having one of the most horrible diseases of the day, were thought that they must have done something really bad, or their ancestors must have done something horrible. That was how they were perceived in the land. So here's Jesus. He's walking, and he sees the 10 lepers, and they see him. They cry out from the distance, Father, please, Jesus, heal me. Jesus hears their cries and heals them immediately and says, go on and show yourselves to the priests. And what that meant was they were healed not only physically, but they were healed socially and they were healed spiritually, because now they could begin to participate in society and they could begin to participate in the religious tradition to which they were called. So it was an amazing healing in body and mind, soul and spirit. And so the lepers went off and indeed showed themselves to the priests. But you know the story. 9 did not come back, and 1 did. 1 did. And the one that came back wasn't even a member of the Jewish tribe. It was a Samaritan. So this foreigner, another one who was reviled at the time. So the only one that returned was one that you would not think came back. Came back to do what? Came back to give thanks. Came back to give praise. Came back to say up close and personal, I thank you with my entire being. Everything I have from now on is because you have healed me. You have seen me. You have reached out, and you indeed have touched me. Amazing story. Saints, in the next coming weeks, we're going to be asking you for a thank you card. We're going to be asking you for a thank you card with your return address written on it because we want the relationship to continue. We're going to be asking you for a thank you card for all the gifts and the bounty and the beauty and the ministries that are here at All Saints and that you all take out into the world to sustain the Jesus way every day in this community. You'll be hearing more about this a little bit later today, but I want you to think about the leper who came back, the 9 who did not, the one who came back so grateful to be healed in body and mind and soul and spirit, so grateful to be able to continue his life and now begin his life walking the Jesus way. Saints, we are grateful and we thank each and every one of you, first of all, for being here, then for lending your support to this congregation so that we can do your work in the world. And I don't mean just money. I mean those of you who volunteer, those of you who work so hard to make this place come alive, to make this church actually be the place where the Jesus way is sustained. And then take that out into the world in so many ways. So many ways. Babies in Need and the Diaper Bank, Traveling Day Society and the WHO. All the things that we do out in the world that help us lead by example and show people that indeed there is another way, the Jesus way. So saints, during the next several weeks, you'll be hearing some amazing testimony from your brothers and sisters here in the congregation. You'll be hearing about why they came, why they stay, and why they help support us. So in the next weeks, when you receive your thank you card, we ask you to think about it. We ask you to pray about it. We ask you to come back with it, like the one leper who returned. We ask you to come back with a graceful and gracious heart. We ask for your help. We ask for your prayers. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.